Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is your host of My Spiritual GPS, Vivian S. de Guzman, and welcome to our segment today called Release, Refocus, and Recover. So, why did we choose this theme today? Because our theme for the month of October is Surrender and Release. And so today, what I'm going to have to do is allow you to experience some of the stories of some of my clients and even some of the people that work closely with me that were able to use the tools that I recommended to help them really connect with their divine guidance, with Source, to allow them to release what's no longer needed in their life. Remember the baggages sometimes, or the challenges and the resistances that we encounter along the way, because we know that we are where we are in life, yet we're all looking to be connected to our soul purpose so that we feel that our life is actually an expression of the divine, that we're able to move through life every single day with ease, grace, and flow. So I would like to welcome some special guests today, Venus Ford and Amy Lancy on the show. All right. Venus and Amy, thank you for gracing our show, My Spiritual GPS.
Thank you for having us here.
Yes, thank you. So I wanted to share with the audience a little bit about your experience when we all go through life, and both of you are in the healing space and in the coaching space. When your spirit awakened, right? Because there's a few stages that we mentioned before awakening, like God taps you on the back and says, hey, by the way, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I think you're going this way and I need to redirect you, right? So that's the awakening. And then suddenly when we allow God's invitation, then we start discovering that there's more to life than whatever society told us to do, whatever our parents exposed us to, and whatever education or programs we've had in the past. We somehow learn to discover for ourselves what is here, right? Like what else is here aside from what we know. And then suddenly we go into the phase of surrender, right? Before we even get to the flow. So those are the four stages of really getting to know our own intuition, our own guidance system. So let's start with Amy Lancy. So I know that it's been a while since you've been discovering and surrendering and awakening, right? When
Yes.
was the first time? I know Amy Lancy. I wanted to share with people that Amy Lancy is my copywriter, and she's also part of my team now in the sales department. I wanted to ask you, Amy, you've had an experience working with me through Up Level 2020 back in, is it March or July of 2020?
Both.
Both, right?
Both.
Right. So when in your own life, right? When was the first time you truly awakened? Like you woke up and spirit says, you're not supposed to be doing that. Do this now.
It was, so that stage, it was interesting. I was thinking about that as you were talking about the different stages. And for me, it came a couple years ago before we met. It was maybe, about 3 or 4 years ago. My first business was as a health coach. And, in the health coaching program, they were great about teaching you how to coach. They're great about teaching you how to do nutrition and teach people that. But they weren't great about teaching you how to run a business. So here I was trying to learn what it was, what marketing was, what business was. And for me, I came from the world of academia. So there's none of that. There was none of that. And so I had to go invest into other programs to learn what marketing and all that jazz was. And so, when copywriting was introduced to me, I picked it up pretty quick because I've been writing all my life. And people explained like, oh, you write like you speak. Right. That's what you do. And I was like, okay, everyone can do that. And then I soon learned not everyone can do that. But what happened was, I remember I was in the car with my then business coach, And my health coaching business was going nowhere, no money, everything. In fact, I lost a lot of money. And I remember I was in the car by myself with my business coach on the Zoom call, and I was just on the verge of tears. And she said, Amy, when your friends or family ask you for help, what do they ask you for help in? And I said, writing, without even thinking about it. And she said, writing? We've been working together for 8 months, and you mentioned nothing about writing. And I said, well, okay, fine. I just didn't bring it up. And so she said, okay, I'm going to challenge you, Amy, to change over your entire business model so that you're a copywriter. And so I changed over my website. I changed over my business cards. And about a week later, I got my first 2 paying clients. I had whatsoever coming in. And so, yeah, the universe was saying, go that way, Amy. I don't know what you're doing over here, but you learned your lesson. I'll go this way.
Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful story. And I know because part of it, right, we always say in my world, we transform people through ease, grace, and flow. So spirit, when God's helping you, like when the universe is helping you with everything, you'll notice that it's actually easier because you're not so hard-headed trying to push it your way. So that's how our mind says, no, you've had this training and you've been working on this for 8 months. You should actually do this. That's your mind.
Yes,
because it
absolutely.
makes logical sense that if you spent money for 8 months, even if you're not making anything, right, that you should do that. Not really, right? So when you finally allow spirit, God, universe to help you, that's when your coach is phenomenal that he or she was able to ask that question. What do people ask you? So our genius zone, we call it genius zone in up level, right? Is the thing that you do without thinking, and it's not even an effort for you to do. Like literally. Like for me, reading energies is not an effort because somebody asked me and I look at the person's name or the person's energy field and just, that's it. And I can look at what's the problem and what's the solution, right? And the in-between is the one that I declutter, so to speak, right? So, wow, that was phenomenal. So when our genius zone is the one that we need to charge for the most. The one that we don't have to think about, that it takes you 1 second. It's like the story of this plumber. I heard this story. So a guy calls a plumber in and says, this is clogged up and we can't use our faucet and this is backing up the toilet. So they call a plumber. The plumber comes in and within 10 minutes, he was able to diagnose the problem, fix the problem, and here comes, right? The solution is here. And then the plumber goes, $200. And then he goes, you only did that for 10 minutes. I've been trying to figure this out for like several days, right? Exactly. Because the skill, the talents, right? It saved you 10 minutes versus 3 days of your life. That's what a mentor and a coach does. It gives you a shortcut. Okay.
Exactly.
So thank you for that awakening. And obviously you went to discovering and surrender within a week, and then flow happened, like 2 paying clients. That's called flow.
Yes, absolutely. I'll never forget that moment ever.
Yes, awesome. So let's welcome Venus Ford. Venus Ford is one of my gold VIP members here. And Venus is now, right now in Texas, but she would soon be moving to California with us. So Venus, when did God, universe, when did you get the call from the universe saying, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Or do you want to follow me and do something else? When was that moment, Venus? Oh, I couldn't hear you, honey.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes. Nope, we can't. All right. So I'm going to have Amy help you with the technical stuff, okay? That's all right. No, I can't hear you. So we're going to go
maybe we get headphones.
Headphones, yeah. Yeah, let me remove you first and Amy can help you. All right. All right, Amy L. So with this, no worries, technical difficulties happen. So Amy L, so when you encountered Up Level the first time in March, Up Level
Mhm.
2020, we designed it specifically for female business owners. Every 3 months,
Yes.
we give them support where whatever they're going throughout
Mhm.
that time, right? Because in business, sometimes, like you said, we have to learn marketing skills. We need to learn um, what else? Sales skills. We need to learn how to
Mhm.
sell because selling is helping. We also need to learn how to be a CEO and manage the different
Exactly.
operations of the business. We do need to be good with the finances, right? The thing
Mhm.
is, most female business owners think that they have to do it all by themselves,
Yes.
and I think that's where it fails. Is they never budget, right, or put it in their spending
Mhm.
plan to
Mhm.
account for the different staff. So when we leave our jobs as an
Mhm.
employee and then transition into entrepreneur, I knew my transition wheels. It took longer than I thought. It was like 5 years for me
Mhm.
that I had to learn all these things. So for you, what was your takeaway when this word up level 2020? Because the whole world
Mhm.
was collapsing during that time, right? Pandemic happened,
Mhm.
lockdown happened. But I remember I was guided to create these platforms in order
Yes.
for people to have a community of people wherein they actually can connect their woo-woo spiritual teachings, bring into the physicality of this business world. Because most
Right.
people have this issue of, I want to make money, but then if I make money, I want to make sure that people don't look at me as an imposter or I'm just about the money,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
what was your, I guess, your takeaway when you signed up for that class, Up Level
Yes.
2020? What was your experience like?
My experience was I thought it was very uplifting. I thought it was very empowering. And I felt lighter afterwards. I
Hmm.
think what I really took away from that session was, one, money does not need to be hard to make. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be hard at all, really. And
Right.
that's something I grew up with for a long, long time.
Uh-huh.
And then also, you put the emphasis on, if it's not your zone of genius, have
Hmm.
someone else take that off your hands. And I remember after sometime, I think it was about a month or two after that up level, a friend of mine said, "Hey, let me be your bookkeeper." And and I was like, you know what did Vivian say? Okay, I should do it. But I was thinking, and then, and I was thinking, like, okay, well, to hire my friend as a bookkeeper, I was thinking, okay, that's a chunk out of my budget every month. How is that gonna go? And then I was like, okay, I just gotta do this. I mean, there's no way around it. I gotta have my books done. Otherwise, they just weren't getting done. My books were not getting done. They didn't know my projection, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, fine. You have to please take this off my hands. And before I knew it, it was like, I don't even see it really being a dent in my budget, because somehow the universe just kind of just made room for it with the incoming cash flow, because I didn't have to worry about how many transactions have I done and where's my revenue at now. It's like, oh, that was handed off to somebody
Yes.
else. That's not my zone of genius. The
Yes.
universe brought in the cash flow to support that
Hmm.
help, and then it just was magical. So that was my big takeaway from Up Level.
So there was that fear, right? So I'm going to
Yes.
bring back Venus. I think she is the queen of this, overcoming this fear. Look,
Yes.
I love your energy, Venus. Venus, the goddess of love.
Yes.
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 The chocolate money goddess. Oh my God. So Venus, thank you
Ah.
for gracing our show today. So I wanted to
Oh,
ask
thank
you
you.
your awakening, because Amy had her awakening. When did God
Mhm.
tap you on your shoulder and say, "Wake up, girl! Like, what are you doing with your life?" And
Oh,
when was that?
okay. It's kind of, first of all, I want to say, hey, everyone, and to all your lovely people, Vivian, in your audience. And oh, I love Amy. If y'all hadn't went to see Amy, you need to go see her. Oh my
Oh,
God,
thank
she
you.
Yes,
is
it's
so
magical.
lovely. Yes.
Thank you.
So it's interesting that you asked me that question, because for me,
Mm.
I feel like I have literally been running from the universe for a long
Oh,
time.
wow.
So,
Right.
like the universe has tapped me on the shoulder at a very young age. I'm talking 6, 7,
Mhm.
So I grew up, I wouldn't even say it was like super religious, but we were big believers in God. And I had the praying grandmother praying in the
Mhm.
closet, with
Yep.
spirit. We call it the Holy Spirit, from
Yes. Holy
how
Spirit.
when I grew up. So it's like, I've always been familiar. But the thing for me is that, and this rings still to this day, it's like when you follow God and you're very in tune with spirit, and you're really acknowledging all your beautiful angels around you, people look at you and think you're like weird, and like, what's going on with you, and what
What's
kind of
going
cult
on?
you're in, a cult or anything, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, it's like, it's just that, why can't, it's like we are always looking for love in the world, and we're always like, oh, we can't trust anybody and everything like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But when you have that person who is following love, really wanting love, because God is love.
Yep.
So when you have a person who's really following love and following the spirit of God, acknowledging all the beautiful light,
Mm.
bright angels around, it's crazy to me that people think it's weird. But honey, let me tell you, I am ready. This is what I do. I don't
Yes.
care
Yes.
anymore. It's like I'm just gonna let my light shine.
All
I pray
right.
to God. I love my angels,
Oh my
and
Oh.
God. So cute.
it's just a beautiful thing. It's a
It is. It
beautiful
is.
thing.
So I
Mm-hmm.
know that in the journey, right? So people think spiritual should always be like calm, quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, it's not always calm and
And
quiet.
no,
Not a bed of
it's
roses.
not.
So when
No.
we step into our greatness, right? When
Mm-hmm.
we actually answer the call of God to evolve and grow, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
our soul always would want to grow.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
if you think of your spirit as your like a guardian angel, right? If you think of
Mm-hmm.
that as if your guardian angel is whispering to you and sharing with you some downloads, we call it
Mm-hmm.
divine downloads, messages, intuitive messages
Mm-hmm.
or intuition. You know how when you're I got mine when I was younger, I was in the Philippines sitting at a bus and your eyes are closed sometimes or you're just looking at the road and then this vision would just come and I
Mm.
Yes.
go, oh, what was that about? And
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes related to a person that you know of, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was just, oh, maybe I just didn't eat enough, or maybe
Yeah.
sleepy. Your mind tells you different reasons why you can't
Yes.
you can't have those visions, right? But at the
Yes.
same time, I realized that when you accept yourself, because a lot of the healers that I know, a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
coaches, we don't really own that we were given that gift.
Yes.
Yes.
Our
Yes. Mhm.
skills, as if like again, some people will say, "Are you sure it's from God?" That's the first thing I
Mm-hmm.
remember when
Right.
my third eye was opening up. Is that from God or is that from the devil? How do you know? So
Yes.
I
Yes.
really had to find, well, what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Because I said if I had that question, somebody
Mm-hmm.
asked me that, the healers would most likely have the same question. How would you know
Mm-hmm.
that it's from God versus it's from the devil?
Mm. Mhm.
Mm.
Okay?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Yeah.
law of attraction will say there's no such thing as dark or devil.
Mhm.
Well, we live in a physical world with both light and dark, with polarity.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So there,
Mhm.
somebody has to answer that question. The insight,
Yes.
right? The intuition is more related to how you feel. And
Mhm.
because we were programmed to take into account every single thought, feeling available out there without
Mhm.
recognizing how you really feel.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think we were
Mhm.
trained as a child to be authentically and unapologetically be us, right? To be
Yes,
yourself.
yes.
No.
I think
Mhm.
that's the main thing that a lot of the self-worth issues, lack of,
Mhm.
I call it lack of
Mhm.
self-integrity, because they don't even know who they are to begin with.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Even
then how will they
anxiety.
know the difference between you
Mhm.
and I or you and another person, right?
Mhm.
That's really part of that. So when you release, like Amy's thought process initially was, I can't afford this person
Yes.
first.
Mm.
But then she had
Yes.
another thought, another seed I planted in up level
Yes.
saying,
Living
if
Yes.
within
I would do alone, and if you're paying $50 or less per hour, give it to someone, because
Yes.
that's not what you do, or you're not
Mhm.
made to do that. You're not
Yes.
made to be the marketer, the
Yes.
production assistant, the
Mhm.
janitor, the manager, copywriter, and then
Yeah.
somebody who takes care of philanthropy and manages all your charities, right? And the
Yes.
legal stuff and the finance. So business ownership has a lot of hats. I
Mhm.
want to tell you.
Yes.
It is not for
Absolutely.
the faint of heart.
No.
And if
Mhm.
you don't like change, it may not be the best job for you, because
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
Mhm.
requires you to
A lot
change
of change.
a lot
Mhm.
of change, right? Is that true,
Yes.
Venus? So
Yes.
went from one business from Georgia to another state, and now moving into another state, all within the span of 2 months, literally.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's how fast.
Yes. That's
Yes.
how fast. The universe
Now,
works
Venus,
fast.
were you afraid during any of the transitions? Was there any fear that you have to overcome?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
What kind of
There
fear?
was, but I
Fear of
remember
what?
as a little girl,
Hmm.
um, um, that spirit didn't give you the fear. Spirit did not give you fear, but love, the spirit, it gives you also the spirit of love and power and a
Hmm.
sound mind. And when I hear
Hmm.
sound mind, that means I'm grounded. You
Yes.
know, you see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So
So
yeah,
grounded
so
means you're in your body, okay? You're not checking out. That's what groundedness means. You can feel your body and appreciate the different emotions that run through it.
Yes.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. You know, and thus giving you like that, your thoughts. It kind of tames and like put a hold, like just put a handle, shall I say, put a
Yes.
Yeah.
handle on your thoughts.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you're grounded in that way. But of course, yes, I mean, yes, I think fear is good though. It just
Yes.
kind of goes back to what you were saying about the light and the dark. Even though fear comes from other forces, shall I say, it still moves you just like an
Yes.
unfortunate situation.
Right.
Sometimes we kind of find ourselves in unfortunate situations, but you have to kind of look at what are you learning from this? What is spirit trying to tell you from this? So
Hmm.
fortunately for I have the best teacher ever. So I
Thank
mean,
you. I
I'm able
received.
to I'm able to evaluate those things, and continue to move forward
Yeah.
in the fear, because just like we were talking about earlier, I listen to the spirit of
Mm.
God and I'm led by that. So
Yeah.
for
Very
for me, spirit is telling me you are supposed to be in California.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I just got approved yesterday for my little one bedroom studio
Wow,
apartment.
awesome. And that was after her Sedona retreat with me,
Yes,
okay,
Woohoo!
yes.
in September 18th. So this was I'll just share with the viewers. So we were in
Mm-hmm.
Sedona from September
Mm-hmm.
17 to 21, right? It's a 3-day
Yes.
retreat, but we had to
Mm-hmm.
drive. So she needed to go back to Texas. But
Mm-hmm.
then she said, Spirit told me to go to California with you all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
she drove to
Ooh.
California out of
Yes.
whim and because of certain events in Texas that shifted almost like within the last 3 to 4 days prior to her going to Sedona.
Yes.
And then there were some conflicts,
Mhm.
communication issues there
Mhm.
within some parties. And when she drove to California, 7 days she stayed here, then she went back to Texas, and again, another change. So
Yes.
we had a call, and
Mhm.
Venus was at first, the usual, what, when something happens, right? You want to talk about it, you want to pour your heart out and talk about it. I said, Venus, you
Yes.
entered a 7-figure container. You are now the CEO of your life. What would a 7-figure future you decide at this time? What would you do with all these circumstances and situations going on? So then her mind has to switch to poor me to,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I'm the CEO of my life. What do I do now?
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
the teaching helps. That became a teachable
Yes.
moment, like a mentorship.
Yes.
And I could have had her just keep on going for like 15, 30 minutes, 1 hour. However,
Mhm.
I needed to help her shift that energy of, are you a victim or are you going to take control, meaning
Yes.
start, change, and stop what's going on and move it into something good for yourself? So that was the
Yes.
coaching part of that. And Venus, throughout that process, like, what did you realize there?
Um, throughout the whole process, I just realized that it's very important for me to stay in tune with spirit, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and also to just continue to move forward,
Yes.
instead of because when I was growing up, you have something unfortunate that happens to you, and then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to vent about it. So
Right.
I'm very like more so wanting to vent about it when it actually happens that day.
Yeah.
I don't really tend to dwell on it, but I love to just kind of
Talk
get it
about
out,
it. Yeah.
but it's very important that in your ventilation
Mm-hmm.
that that you kind of refocus and focus on your
Yes.
solution and just kind of
Yeah.
focus on moving forward. So that
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm learning is just well, not really learning but really applying and
Yes.
kind of trying
Applying.
to set in stone, because right now I'm
Mm-hmm.
at a period in my life where I want to build some great habits for me, like
Mm-hmm.
moving forward in my womanhood. So,
Yep.
it's very important for me to instill that principle that I'm currently learning now, is to when I do kind of release all of that, the emotion that runs through you. When I do
Yes.
release it, it's very important for me to also direct myself and going into the best way, the best direction that will benefit me.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed that a lot of the business owners can get stuck in one particular situation and make a
Mm-hmm.
big deal out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of it, like you said, all of us have a different way of expressing ourselves and expressing our emotions. So if when you were a child and you were never allowed to express yourself,
Yeah.
it's like nature has its cycles. So eventually, as you grow up, you get married, you have your own business. A lot of times, a lot of the childhood tantrums that we've never been able to express come out
Mm-hmm.
in certain negative situations when we're in business. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting to note that, you have like a successful person and suddenly they're in some puddle or mud and then they're
Mm-hmm.
wallowing in their own mud,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us have different timelines to do that, right? If we've never
Mm-hmm.
had a chance to express it, like you said, this venting may
Mm-hmm.
may work until it doesn't, right? Until it
Yes.
no longer works. Because if you're not focused as a business owner and you didn't put priority on your business, yeah, you can vent all day, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's going to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
However, does that solve the problem? Most likely not. It'll just
Yes.
perpetuate and make it bigger. So I remember when she had an issue one time, and I said, Venus, ground, connect to God, take a deep breath, and pretend nothing happened. Tomorrow, just talk to that person as if nothing ever happened, and you're just happy to be in her presence. And believe it or not, within 24 hours, that energy has shifted, like for the better, right? So
Yes.
those were her aha moments that, oh my God, it does
Yeah.
work, whatever I'm doing. And I said, these difficulties and challenges happen because you have to apply the tool. And when you flex that muscle and you're good at it already, then you've applied it. You've applied the spiritual principle to the physical plane, and that's what matters. That
It
really
does.
changes the game.
It does.
Yes, yes. All right. So I'm going to bring back Amy here so that we can answer. Coming up next is our Q&A for our live audience, because I'm sure some of them may have questions on releasing, refocusing, and how do you really recover? Well, it's completely up to you how fast you want to recover. So Amy Fahim, I'm going to bring her here. And Amy, let's see what kind of questions we have from the audience, if they have any input. If anybody has experienced Uplevel 2020 in the past, please share your experience. And if you have any questions among all 3-4 of us, feel free to do that.
Shifra is saying that she's the same way as Venus, where she likes to have that moment so she can vent, and then therefore it allows that release, and she can just let it go and move on and shift the moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. What can you say about that? Is it very healing for you, Venus, to talk about like what just happened? Perhaps now we're going to add, how do we solve this now? We can still vent, right? We just have to add the solution.
Yes, and it is, because according to my human design, I it's in my emotions, that I display, right? Yes. So I meant like it's very important for me to vent, especially when it actually happens. It's one thing to vent when it actually happens that day, that moment, or but then like 2 or 3 weeks later, now if you're still talking about it, now that's a totally different story. Now you don't want to do that.
I think think about people that have had divorce, lawsuit, any kind of thing that it happened 10, 20 years ago, but if they're still talking about it now, you're always bringing the past to the present, right?
Exactly. So in saying that, I really do feel like it's really healing, for you to be able to get all of that out, or just kind of bring it up to the top, you know what I'm saying? And then be able, bring it to the surface and be able to kind of see what's going on, be real about it. Because, when, just like Vivian was saying, when I was younger, that was me. I wasn't allowed to show my emotions. It was like, no crying, don't say anything, I don't care, so I was shut down. And I love my parents, they're great, like, and they did the best that they could do. But that's what I'm saying. So me, again, it's very important for me to bring those emotions up, to really evaluate how I'm feeling, and then figure out how I can move forward to a solution, and to kind of get on a higher plane and learn something from the situation.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I was just saying, Venus, you know what? When you're talking about how people bring up things, several weeks later, and it's as if it just happened yesterday. In my world, I call that living in your story, because it's like you're living that story over and over again, and you refuse to move forward, even though you do want to move forward, but you refuse to move forward also. So then you just kind of, you're purposefully and accidentally opening up the wound just so you can feel it again, so you can vent about some more. And it's just, so you're not really dealing with it, because you're just sitting there complaining to the same people who are, for whatever reason, may not be pushing you to go get the help that you need. So
exactly. So that's why it's important to heal the wound.
Yep.
Don't
Yes.
reopen it and just let
Yes.
it, fester.
Yes.
It's important to heal it. Once you just that, it's important to heal yourself from that situation and move forward.
Mhm.
Especially with women. Women have a very big
Yeah.
center compared to men. That's the reason why we talk more than the man. You notice that, unless
Yes.
you're in your relationship, the men talk more than you. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
but
So
mostly
women,
Absolutely.
yeah, women are for Venus and men are from Mars. So
I'll be right back.
oh my God, you're so cute. That's a book. That's a book.
I
Okay.
know, right?
So I think Rosemary had a comment. So go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, so Rosemary is saying that talk therapy can be very helpful in the healing process. It helps to put a situation in perspective versus the ongoing record player in the head, and it's very helpful in moving on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I
So
agree.
remember that talking, like Amy was saying, and Venus was saying, that is very healing. And you may have to find that right person in your life.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Something they're not going to trigger you. So I found out, like, for example, if there is a person in your life that when you say something, let's say, something happened at work or in your business and you just wanted to vent, but then when you vent to someone, then they start making a big fire out of it, or they take a side. You want to connect with someone that could be just a listening ear or just allowing the space to happen rather than correct you, or like with Venus, if she did not, in the past she was told to shut up and not say anything, stop crying. That's how she wasn't able to process, because everybody is different, right? When it comes to processing, you may want to look at your children's human design, right? Because their inner authority is emotional authority. They may have a way to process emotions that you're not your way, not you process it. And it may be helpful for them to feel understood and loved.
Yes.
If you listen a little bit to their tantruming. By the way, when you pay attention to kids having a tantrum and crying and saying something, talking about something, if you actually just sit and listen to them and make them, okay, yeah, tell me more. That's after a while, they're like, I'm done. Then they just
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Literally.
They don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, they're done.
So that's the beauty of
Yes. Yeah. So look, let me just add one thing. And see, it's very important if you're going to vent, it's very important to vent to someone who makes you feel a sense of peace after, like you're done, like I'm done with this. Just like Vivian was saying with the kid, so when you're actually, if you're like me with the emotional authority, according to your human design, and you need someone, or you really love to have someone there to vent when things actually happen, then you want to choose someone, that actually makes you feel a sense of peace after. Like you have literally let this go. And just like Vivian was saying with the child, you want to feel like, okay, I'm done. What's next? You know what I mean? So that's who you want to choose. Someone like that, that makes you feel like that. And
then adding on to what Venus just said, so for human design, I'm a sacral authority. So basically, I know what I really want ultimately. But what happens is I'll get too much in my head, and then I can't see what my intuition's saying. So for me, for a venting partner, I need to be with someone to vent with, so I can clear out the blocks toward the pathway to my intuition.
Gotcha.
So then I can oh yes, no, okay, I should do this, or maybe I shouldn't do that. So for me, part of that could be venting emotionally, but for me, it's more about, okay, the end goal is to clear that pathway back to my sacral authority, my intuition.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I always share with everyone that
Mhm.
the decisions shouldn't be made in your head.
Yes.
Mhm.
You need to know
Down
your
here.
human design and your inner authority, because
Uh-huh.
that's the place where you actually make decisions. It's
Mhm.
kind of based on your gut, basically, right? So
Yeah.
whatever, but if you're not connected to yourself, to your higher
Yeah.
guidance, you're
Mhm.
not connected to Earth because you're flying somewhere else, like you're
Mhm.
checking out. You
Mhm.
you will not be able to make good decisions, and then you're like, oh, I thought this was correct, and I just wasted 10 years of my life here.
Yes.
And when we
Yes.
went to Sedona, I wanted to share this with you. This might help you really feel good about the things that's going on, because Source is giving us a redirection. A lot of times, if we listen,
Mhm.
the one of the wisdom trees there said to us that there is no right or wrong decision, saying it's pretty neutral, right? It's just the path you take in life. So, physically, there are two roads. Let's say you're at a crossroad and you're going left or you're going right. However, you don't know what's ahead or what's in the middle of that road. Let's say you're going to San Francisco and it's like, oh, you have two freeways to choose from. Would you like to go this way or that way? So for those of you that are logical, you're probably going to Google, take a look at the traffic, and see how many.
I totally get that.
I'm like, you guys are laughing. But for me, I'm very intuitive. So I just kind of scan the freeway, and then I ask the question, what would be the fastest, like maybe most joyful route that I will take to get to San Francisco? So for me, it's the quality that I would like to have rather than the how soon can I get there? Unless you're rushing to get there, right? So
Well, Vivian,
based on that.
you
Right.
use your spiritual GPS, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. Maybe we should just call Vivian. Like before I leave anyone, call Vivian. Vivian, where should I go?
Okay.
Oh my God. Correct. I'll give you a little secret how I started developing this spiritual GPS, right?
I
So
love it. I love
obviously,
it.
in a nutshell, you have to ground, connect to God, bubble yourself so you know who you are, right? It's just you. And of course, I send everybody that's not me back to their higher self. And then finally, I'm me, right? Like I make sure I bring back everything, all my energies back to me. So then when I scan, literally, that's why healers can heal long distance, because part of it too is they're also moving source energy through them, right? That's what a healer does. We shouldn't take on people's stuff. That won't work very good, because then we end up with their problems plus our own.
Our own.
So dealing with that, right? So when you're actually not thinking anymore, and then you're emotional, like you're not too emotional about everything because you're pretty neutral now. Like your two brains are literally level. So then your intuition, your third eye, can see or sense what's happening in any situation, right? And when you scan that, either with your hand or with your third eye, some people can just hear. Everybody has a different gift. Then it happens, right? And so I have tested that, like in different things, like what is the best road to take to work today? And I would just go freeway, side street. Okay. And when I muscle test, I get a result, then I just follow that. So what I encourage you to do is follow your spiritual GPS every day. Like, am I supposed to eat egg or no eggs today? Am I going to take a nap or not take a nap today? Like, little things like that in your life.
Yes.
Try it. See what happens.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see how. Let you know how it goes.
I agree. I agree, because that's my whole journey, though, Vivian. You're actually speaking of my whole journey. So that's my ultimate goal. This is literally my life right now. Following spirit. That's it. Because I know that because I am of God and God is all abundant, I have that too. It's inherited. It's me too. So my thing is, as long as I follow the spirit, You know, in everything I do, I don't care. It could be like eggs or no eggs. What we're gonna do for grocery? What route are we gonna take? I really feel like everyone should take this journey to follow spirit because it's so needed. If you hadn't done it already in your life, like me, then I think that right now, considering the worldly climate, it's very important to do right now. So I really encourage everyone to tap into the Most High, tap into the Spirit of God, and let that lead you, and you will be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Vivian, we have a few more comments. Thank you for that, Venus. Shifra has a comment.
Yeah, Shifra says, I've seen Vivian in action of allowing tantrums and it goes away in minutes. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. And she just does it with so much love, right?
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shifra.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. Okay, what's your problem? Okay.
Yes. And she's there
They
quickly.
just go with what's your problem and what's your full name, right? Like I asked those questions.
I know, right?
Okay, now, then next, what other problems do you have?
Yes, oh my God. I love it. I love it.
Oh
And then
my
when
God.
Vivian gets a hold of you, like, you know, it's like, oh, well, I feel better now. I don't have a problem anymore. I'm talking like 3 minutes. I'm like, oh,
I know. It's kind of like I become the lifeline, right? Like, Vivian, I need some help. Okay, got it. What is it? And then they go, say it like it is. And I go, okay, next.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we can laugh all day, you guys.
Okay.
And I wanted to thank Amy Lancy, and Venus Ford, and also Amy Fahim for assisting us in the comments today. And what I wanted to do is actually invite everyone to check out our upcoming Up Level 2020. And that is the focus for us is release, refocus, and recover. This was born out of the need for people to be helped every 90 days, right? Every quarter. So what do big corporations do during October? They usually plan. But what happens if the whole 2020, it seems like it locked down and we were, sometimes some people think they're a victim, but we're not, right? You are in charge of your life. You are in charge of your business. However, if you have so many triggers and you don't release those, well, you're building from that foundation. And during October, I usually encourage people to declutter or start looking at things of how they could declutter their life, like what's working in your business and what's not working. Because sometimes we hold on, like we're attached to what is not working because we think of love as pain. No, God likes you to have ease, grace, and flow.
Yes.
But if you don't believe that, unfortunately, you're going to go through the pain and struggle because you think it's necessary. But it's not, if you don't think so. So we got to release the whole 2020. And then we got to refocus you on, well, how do you change that mind shift? That mindset, right? Because if you think that that's how it's supposed to be, if you have a mindset that, oh, it's the holiday, so people don't work, that means my business will go down. Let's delete all that, right? Let's delete to everyone, delete to zero minus infinite potential. Because if that's your mindset, you're going to make that a reality. So if you want to change that reality, visit uplevel2020.com so you can recover. It doesn't mean, see, for some of you, you've used the pandemic or the COVID-19 as an excuse because your business wasn't doing well to begin with. And now here's another blow. And if this didn't wake you up, I don't know what's going to wake you up. You've got to be awake already, right? You've got to wake up and know that no one is in control of your life, not the government. It's just you got to start, change, and stop whatever's not working and then change it to something for you that's working. You can start something new. And we have a discount, pretty much a savings for you on or before October 16th, because we're doing this on the 23rd, which is a Friday. You can attend online and get some spiritual business healing. So we heal you and we heal your business also so that you can plan intuitively for 2021. So not using your head, It is important to use the head. However, I'm going to teach you how to intuitively plan for the year, sensing what the future looks like. Everybody says nobody knows what the future looks like, but your body is like a barometer.
Yes.
It senses the changes. And if you're not listening to your body, unfortunately, you need to come down this planet and come back to your body to execute what the divine messages are telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yes.
right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for gracing the show and for the fun laughs. And we will see you again next Tuesday, same time, 12 p.m. Pacific time, for another great segment of My Spiritual GPS. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.